Hey guys, how are you? Um, I know this is a little bit unexpected of me. Um, I kind of just had some feelings about the episode and I wanted to talk about them. I know I've been on two streams so far with AK after the episode and with the Mad Queens last night. But there's just a couple of things that I mean I wanted to touch on that I didn't get the chance to. So um, this is what I'm doing. I figured I'll live stream. If people want to join in, they can. If you guys have questions, put them in the chat. I'll answer. No problem. But I just wanted to go over a few of the things that I thought of that I didn't get the chance to touch on before. So what I found interesting, I'm just going to start with the opener, the when we pan through in the credits. So in the opener, we get the bands. Hi, everybody in the chat. Hi, Elamar. Hi, T. Hi, OTDA. Hi, Nancy T. Hi, Renee. It's good to see all of you guys. I'm glad you're here. So back to what I was saying. So when we see the bands in the opening, the first one we see is Drogon burning the Red Keep on the bands. And that's the first time I think we saw that one, which was really interesting. And then it pans to the wall, which is still broken. The blue tiles are still there. Then we go to Last Hearth, Winterfell, the Crypts. After the Crypts, we see another band. The band this time is the band from the episode with the Red Wedding. It's where they have the direwolf head in their hands, and I believe it's a lion watching over the night with the direwolf head in his hands. It's from the Red Wedding. I know that much. Then we pan again. We get King's Landing, the broken Red Keep. The cogs are not building up again, and no sigil over the throne this time. But I think a lot. I haven't heard anyone talk about it, but I saw it when I first saw it. I thought, huh? And then I checked again because I've watched the episode 5 times now. And I kept looking at it. I had to pause it. I had to do all these things. But if you look closely at the map room in the episode and in the opening credits, it's cracked right at the neck. So right where it depicts Winterfell and the rest of the 7 kingdoms. And I think that's significant. They basically told us the North was going to be independent before we even watched the episode. Before we knew what was going on, we already knew, if you paid close enough attention. I did not the first time. And then we get the last band, and the last band is, I believe it's from one of the very first episodes. It's the 3 Dragons and the Red Comet. And I found that was interesting that they used past bands that signified really important moments or really changing moments. Sorry, I have to cough. I might be doing that a lot. I still have this tickle in my throat. I can't get rid of it. Then the first scene we have is, and let me know in the chat if any of you guys caught that or not. Renee says, yep, it's cracked right where the North separates from the rest of the 6 kingdoms. I didn't notice it the first time. Yeah, I didn't notice it either. I noticed it on like the second time and the third time. And after seeing stills from the opening and from the shot where Tyrion's standing in the map room. So that's when I actually caught it. So but yeah, guys, feel free to ask questions. I'll stop what I'm talking about, or I'll finish what I'm talking about and then answer them. Anything you guys want to say. Just the only thing I ask is that no one gets like super rude, like T's stream last night and the Mad Queen stream last night. I'm all for different opinions. Just keep it respectful. Don't call anyone names, that kind of stuff. OTDA says, if Jaime, and I assume you mean Cersei, just stood there, they would have lived. So Tyrion got them killed for real, telling them to go down and sneak out. Yeah, you're right. They would have lived, but who knows? They could have died. You don't know. Um, Fandom, hi, you're half asleep. Yeah, I'm a little sleepy myself. I had class today, so um, Nancy's cutting the grass, but she's listening. Well, be safe cutting the grass because you could have an accident. Hi, Monero. Hi, I miss you. Even though I saw you yesterday, I miss Ginger Ale chat. That's what I mean. I really miss my Monero Ginger Ale chat time. And Miss Witch, I also saw you in here. Thanks for stopping by. The map was pretty untouched, and that's all I meant. Okay. Monero, you're never late to the party. The party comes with you. Um, so back to what I was saying, then we get the first scene, and the first scene is Tyrion walking through King's Landing. He's looking at all of the destruction. To me, in my opinion, he seems horrified and shocked and back to himself in a way. I don't know if that makes any sense, but before, it seemed as though he wasn't really affected by destruction in the later seasons. But then this is a callback to when he really was adamant about, like, no, you don't hurt free people. Yes, the map was untouched. I understand. David. I get it. We see the burning child, the burnt child and her mother, who Arya were trying to save. And it's a callback to Shireen that she has that little wooden toy in her hand, but it's also just to identify her as that little girl. Next, we see the burnt man that's walking up in front of Tyrion towards him. And I mean, that just shows you the destruction that Dany caused. Wasn't Drogon's fault. I don't blame the dragon. Then we see it pans and we see the alley and we see a crying man with rubble behind him. I don't know if that was a soldier or if that was, a small folk or who it was, but it was really intense. And then we see Jon and Davos come from behind Tyrion. I'm sure they were probably there the whole time, but that's when we finally see them. And Tyrion turns and he says, "I'll find you later," to them. And Jon says, "It's not safe. Let me send some men with you." And Tyrion says, "I'm going alone." And we just see him walk. And I found that really intense, that he's just walking through all of this destruction to go and find out what happened to his siblings, because love them or hate them, I mean, him and Cersei had a tumultuous relationship his entire life, he said. But he loved Jaime. Sorry, I'm just going to go into the chat. Renee says, "I expected Davos to reach down and try and pick up the wooden horse, and it crumbled to ash between his fingers. I don't know why I thought that. It would have been really, really, really dramatic." Renee. So I totally get that. I didn't think of that at all. But yeah, no, I don't think he would have touched it. It didn't look like barely anyone was left alive, Monero says. Yeah, no, I think there was very, very few people left alive. I think the only people left alive were the people that were fighting for Dany and the people they captured, which we find out in the next scene. Jon comes across Grey Worm, and I haven't touched on this scene, I don't think, in past discussions about this. Those tears were for the Lannisters. Oh, Fandom, I'm sorry. I know your heart, it hurts, but it's the only way it could have happened. And it was prophesized, so you should have expected it. I expected everyone to die. So the next scene we get is Grey Worm with the Lannister troops, and Jon and Davos come upon him with what little Northmen are left behind him. And he says I have it written down. What does he say to Grey Worm? Sorry. Grey Worm's about to execute them. That's what he's saying. he's about to execute them in Dany's name, and Jon says it's over. These men are prisoners, and Grey Worm says it's not over till the queen's enemies are defeated. And Davos says, and I found this really, really, really important in knowing where Grey Worm's head is at. Davos says, how much more defeated do you want them? They're on their knees. And Grey Worm says, they're breathing. And Davos then turns and says, look around you, friend, we won. And Grey Worm says, I obey my queen's commands, not yours, which I found really interesting. So later in the scene, we have him reacting to Jon. Jon grabs Grey Worm's arm, I think. And all the Unsullied react by drawing their spears. And his comments to Davos and then his reaction to Jon makes me believe that there must have been some sort of plan with Dany before all of that. Monero says the scene affirmed that Dany and Grey Worm never intended to keep anyone alive. Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. So yeah, I believe from that scene I figured out that it had to have been on my second rewatch. It had to have been a plan for Dany and Grey Worm. They must have spoken beforehand, because Jon and Davos have given Grey Worm absolutely zero reason not to trust them. They have fought alongside him. They have defended him. They have supported him. So I didn't understand it on the first watch. I mean, it was intense, but it's like a lot of things in this season, which is maybe one of my only gripes about this season. It just felt a little bit too rushed. They could have done more episodes. They chose not to. We got the 6. It's fine. I'm fine with it. The only problem I have is it felt really condensed and rushed, and I didn't get the reasoning behind a lot of actions because there was no foresight into it. So we don't see what people are doing behind the scenes like we normally would, and then drawing a conclusion from there. It's just kind of like boom, 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 action, 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 no explanation. And I'll get to that again in a couple other scenes later on. But yeah, I think there had to have been some sort of conversation or plan set in place between Dany and Grey Worm beforehand. Like I said before in other streams, Grey Worm is the only one she has left that she trusts explicitly. No one else has been there as long as he has. That's it. It's just him. So I think that there had to have been a plan in place way before even. I think the plan was in place before she even left Winterfell. I think that's when she turned around and she was just like, nope, don't care anymore. Jon thinks he's the rightful heir. People are going to think he's the rightful heir. I think, everything else just kind of set her off even more past that. But this plan was already in place when she went ahead of Jon, I think. So then we cut to Tyrion walking up to the Red Keep, walking up the stairs through the Red Keep. He goes to the map room where, again, we see the same map with the same crack along the neck of Westeros, dividing Winterfell from everywhere else. Monero, he was acting salty. He was acting really salty. I mean, I've called some of the women on the show salty in the past, some of the female characters. Grey Worm was acting real salty. I get he has a reason to be acting salty. He just lost the love of his life. He watched her get beheaded by these crazy, crazy people. Hi, Plexi. I get it, but his judgment is super clouded. He has no remorse at this point. He has nothing. He doesn't see clearly. He's not seeing. He's not. How am I going to say this? He is not seeing that what he's fighting now is what he fought to get out of in Essos. He's fighting for Dany, who's acting very much like a dictator or a tyrant right now. And that's what they were fighting against in Essos, which also makes me a little bit annoyed because, you know, her character, actually everyone's character on her side, just kind of changed with the drop of a hat. I wish it was more set up. Small screens with hoodie death. I miss the small screens with witty dialogue and the backbiting politics. Miss, which I think you mean you miss the small scenes, I'm assuming. Yeah, me too. There was no buildup. There was no foreshadowing. Monero says they were regressing to their former selves. No, I don't think they were regressing because the Unsullied were treated, they were slaves for lack of, they were slaves. They were ripped from their mothers. They were slaves. They were forced to fight. It wasn't in them. They just were, they had to. So I don't think they're regressing to their former selves. I think they're blinded by the fact that their leaders are Dany and Grey Worm, and Dany and Grey Worm are suffering greatly right now. They're in grief by Elamar. So they're suffering from grief. So I don't think they're regressing. I really think they've lost their way because they're being guided by two people who are completely consumed by grief. So Monero said, yes, but they didn't have agency. Yes, Monero, you're right in that sense. So I feel like the Unsullied, the mass of Unsullied, are just following aimlessly. They're following Grey Worm and the Dothraki as well. They're following Grey Worm and Dany, and they have no agency anymore. Whereas I think Grey Worm himself is just suffering. He's just suffering from unsurmountable grief. And I think everything was done a little bit too rushed. I'll get to that point a little bit later. Yeah, then we come to Tyrion finding, he walks through King's Landing, the Red Keep, sorry, and he's, observing the destruction, and he gets to where he told Jaime and Cersei to go, and he sees that the path is blocked by rocks, but then he sees a light at the top where there's an opening, and he climbs up, which doesn't make any sense to me. He climbs up and digs his way through, is what I assume, because we don't see it. And then he's in the part of the castle where the dragon skull is. No, sorry, he was in the part where the dragon skull was, because he comes down the stairs and stares at it. And then he gets past there and finds the area where Jaime and Cersei are, and he starts, looking for them, any glimpse of them, trying to figure out if they made it out alive. And then he comes upon Jaime's golden hand, and he digs because, the hand can come off. So he digs, and needless to say, Phantom cover your ears. He ends up finding Cersei's face. And that's when he begins to get very emotional, and he's crying, and he keeps digging. And then he finds Jaime, and we cut back to him sitting on the rocks, just completely out of his mind with grief for his siblings. I still think far more for Jaime than Cersei, but also because he thinks Cersei's pregnant, and he doesn't want any child to be hurt ever. So what are you saying, fandom? I don't. Okay, I'm just gonna cover your ears. I don't want you to get triggered by the Lannister talk. And let's see. Miss Witch says, D&D tied up the story arcs better. Ancillary story arcs better. Y'all know I want death to all Lannisters, but I felt sad for him for a split second, Renee said. Renee, I felt sad for him for more than a split second, and I hate Cersei, and I really didn't like Jaime for most of it. Yes, fandom, you said Cersei was pregnant for years. She can't be pregnant for that long, so who knows what happened to that baby. I don't know, but Tyrion was grieving for his siblings, for the death of an unborn child, for his brother who loved him, and for his family. He's the last Lannister left. There's, as far as the show is concerned, he's the last Lannister left. There's no one else after him. So I feel for him. I feel for him in that moment. He's the last of the lions. And so then we move on. And I'm going to pull up my phone because I made these notes on my phone. We move on and we get to the Dany Hitler speech. And Amelia Clark has come out and said she actually watched videos of Hitler in preparation for delivering this speech. So I wasn't far off. It totally gave me Hitler vibes and, kind of First Order vibes. But I've also heard the theory that I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan, but I also have heard in reports that I've read and watched that it was also a callback to a Lord of the Rings scene. I'm not sure if someone in the chat is a Lord of the Rings fan. Please inform me because I have not watched the movies. The only book I read was The Hobbit in school, and I wasn't a fan. It just dragged on for me. So, Renee, apparently the scene where Dany is speaking at the top of the stairs is a callback to something from the Lord of the Rings movie. Do you know what that was? And Miss Witch says, Tyrion tried so hard to keep his siblings safe, and I nearly cried for the Lannisters. I did cry a little bit, seeing Tyrion cry, realizing that, he's lost everything. He has nothing left. That's not what he wanted. So I'm really sad. And Renee says it was when, sorry if I mispronounce this, Saruman showed Wormtongue his army. Oh, okay. Sure. So that was the scene that they called back from Lord of the Rings. Just getting to... So the next thing we get is Arya walking the streets of King's Landing. She sees Dothraki soldiers assembled and Jon walking through. And I loved how they would pan from Jon to Arya and back again. It was much like the scene from the previous episode where they were panning from the Hound to Arya and back again. So I'm going to put that there so that I'm not, staring at my phone. She sees the Dothraki assembled. Then Jon comes to the stairs of the Red Keep where there's a giant Targaryen banister, which, logically they probably got it off a ship. But where the hell did that come from? And who hung it up? Because I don't think Drogon was hanging that. I don't know who the hell was going to hang that. March of Helm's Deep, leave none alive to war. Okay, I think that's another Lord of the Rings thing. I've heard that before. Thank you, fandom. Thank you, Renee, for informing me because I'm, like I said, I haven't watched any of it. So then the Dothraki are assembled in the back on their horses, just kind of sporadically, very much like the Dothraki. And then we see Arya, she's tracking Jon, a callback to, I found that it was a callback to when she was, tracking the actions in King's Landing for Ned's public trial beheading scene. She was kind of trying to stay out of view of people and, anyone who was going to harm her, but she also wanted to see what was going on. Then Jon walks up the stairs lined with Unsullied. Grey Worm's watching him. They have another stare down. Jon and Grey Worm have epic stare downs this episode. The Drogon flies overhead and everyone's cheering. And then Jon walks up to the top. And it's here that we see the scene of all the Unsullied assembled, where they're all kind of lined up, and then the Dothraki are in the back. Phantom, I'll get to that in a minute. And then Jon walks up, and then we get the epic Dany Drogon scene where Drogon's wings are behind her. She looks a lot like Maleficent in that, and kind of like the devil. I don't know. Made me feel like she was going to do evil things, though. It did not give me good vibes, but it was an epic shot. Grey Worm took Littlefinger's teleporter. Confirmed. Okay, if you say so. So then nope, not Jon. Dany stands at the top. We get the shot of all of her army. Again, I said what that reminds me of. Miss Witch says Arya is the Flash. Her sleuth skills literally is unbelievable. She's a faceless man. She's better than the Flash. She learned, assassin moves. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I love the Flash, but she's way more epic than the Flash to me. And then we get Dany at the beginning of her speech. And like I said, I wrote it down in English, the translation. So I'll read it out to you guys so that you guys can kind of relive it. And then if you have any questions or if you think I missed something, just let me know. So she starts off in Dothraki, addressing the Dothraki, obviously. She says, and it's callback to what she said to them before and what Khal Drogo said to them. She says, blood of my blood, you kept all your promises to me. You killed my enemies in their iron suits. You tore down their stone houses. You gave me the 7 kingdoms. Drogon then comes up and sits on the tower beside her, and everyone's just freaking out. And then she continues. She looks at Grey Worm, and I guess she's talking in, I don't know if Grey Worm she's speaking. Oh my God, I don't know if she's speaking High Valyrian or Valyrian, or if she's speaking, Bravosi, or if she's speaking some other Essos language. But she's speaking to Grey Worm here. Sorry. Arya can kill the CW's Flash. All she has to do is use Iris's face. Yes. It was totally Hydra, Monero says. I didn't get Hydra vibes from it. I got more legit Hitler vibes and First Order from, I can't remember which Star Wars movie it was, the more recent movies. The First Order scene, that's what it gave me, which was based off of the Hitler talks in Nuremberg. So that's where they got that idea from. So either way, whatever they're copying, that's where they got the idea. And then she continues and she says to Grey Worm, you have walked beside me since the Plaza of Pride. You are the bravest of men, the most loyal of soldiers. I name you commander of all my forces, the Queen's master of war. The Unsullied begin to, stamp their spears, and Grey Worm agrees. Dany seems satisfied. Then we see Tyrion walking up from behind. And then she continues in, I believe it's Valyrian that she's speaking now. She's not speaking Dothraki to the Unsullied. She says, Unsullied, all of you were torn from your mother's arms and raised as slaves. Now you are liberators. You have freed the people of King's Landing from the grips of a tyrant. The Unsullied continue to stamp their spears. And she says, but the war is not over. We will not let down our spears until we have liberated all of the people of the world, from Winterfell to Dorne, from Lannisport to Karth, from the Summer Isles to the Jade Sea. Women, men, and children have suffered too long beneath the wheel. Who will break the wheel with me? And then everyone's freaking out. As she says Winterfell, we pan to John, and we know he understands the word Winterfell, even though she says all the names a little bit differently. So I assume, that's how they say them I'm assuming Valyrian. And then he understands that part, but he doesn't understand what she's saying. And then we pan to Tyrion when she says Lannisport. And Tyrion also looks very, unsettled by it. So I think they're kind of understanding, but not. John definitely is not fully comprehending what she's saying. But then we call back to the fact that Arya is in the crowd, and Arya was trained by the Faceless Men, and Arya was in Braavos for a very long time, and Arya definitely understands those languages. I wouldn't be surprised if she also understands Dothraki, because I think the Faceless Men kind of taught her a little bit of understanding people so that she can fit in everywhere and be no one. So I think that was definitely, the reason for having Arya in that scene. I think it was really important for her to be there because she is definitely. Oh, bye, Renee. Hopefully you'll be back. But yeah, so like I was saying, I think it was really important that they had Arya there so that she would Monero's saying my comic book husband's name. I see it in the chat and I just got like totally distracted because she said Steve Rogers. I'm a huge Captain America fan, if you guys don't know. And so, yeah, so I think it was, again, really important for Arya to be there and to understand all of what she's saying. And then as Danny asks who will break the wheel, pan out to see the crowd and Arya watching from the sidelines. She looks worried, and we know that Arya can understand Dany's speech from her time with the Faceless Men. That's what I have written down. Crowd goes nuts until Tyrion steps forward, and then we get the Tyrion moment when Dany tells Tyrion he committed treason by freeing Jaime, and then we get the Tyrion throwing his hand of the hand of the queen pin down the stairs. Hi, who came in? Hi, Chrissy. Hi, Forrest. I didn't see you before. Anyone else that's new before I continue on? All right. I'm going to take a sip of my drink here, my Diet Coke, and then we shall move on. If you guys have any questions about anything or if you guys have any comments, put them in the chat. Like, let me know. I'll stop what I'm doing. Just let me know what you guys think of everything so far. Monero says she loved the way Tyrion threw his hand of pin down the stairs. Yeah, me too. I think it totally signified, he's not okay with it anymore. You look absolutely gorgeous as always, Em. Oh, thank you. This took a lot of work. I did not look like this at school today. My hair was in a bun. I was in sweats. And yeah, no makeup was on my face because I don't wear makeup to school. Then we get the Arya and Jon scene. This one, I think, sealed the deal. So I'm going to go back to my other notes that I made here. And I said it yesterday. I find that... Sorry, guys. Plexi, I'm a student, not a teacher. I'm definitely not fit to teach children. Monero, you're right. The look on Jenny's face was priceless. No, guys, I could never teach children. Never. I have no patience for them. Okay, I can never pronounce your name and I don't want to mess it up. So Swantiva Major says, hi, Sam, love the hair. Thank you very much. I hope I got your name wrong. Please don't be offended if I didn't. I'm really bad at pronouncing things. So then we get the scene of Arya and John. And, you know, we have Arya who, I don't remember, John asks what Arya is doing there. And Arya says she came to kill Cersei. And John, I guess, like, what, somehow she says, your queen. Something about your queen. I think they're talking about the destruction. And this is the important part that I took away from it. John says, she's all of our queen now. And Arya says, try telling Sansa. Because it's a good point. You try telling Sansa that Dany's her queen. Sansa isn't going to have it. And we see that later. Not even Bran. No one is going to take the North away from her. So then John says, wait for me outside the city gates. I'll come find you. And Arya says, John, you know, she stops him. She says, John, she knows who you are, who you really are. You will always be a threat to her. And I know a killer when I see one. I think that was probably the most important. Bye, Chrissy. We'll see you when you come back. I think that was probably one of the most important scenes in John's decisions. That and the Tyrion scene. And then when Dany, he's waiting for her to give him a reason to not believe them. So those three scenes, I think, were super important. And then we cut to the scene of Jon in the cells with Tyrion. Tyrion has these epic, long... Yes, Monero, you're right. He did need to hear that. And he needed to hear it from Arya. Because, I mean, even though they haven't discussed it, Arya knows a killer. And he knows that she is a faceless man. Because let's face it, everyone in Westeros knows that she's a faceless man. I thought it was supposed to be a secret, but apparently not. Apparently everyone knows who they are, what they do, everything. Sorry, guys. So Tyrion is being Tyrion again. He's back to the Tyrion I fell in love with. In the first couple of seasons, he's waxing poetic and going off on these long tangents that are really witty and really smart and really intelligent. And, you know, the things he's saying to Jon are definitely also what changes his mind. You know, he says, I think something along the lines of, what's going to stop her from, you know, killing Sansa? What about your sisters? I think that's what he says at the end. And I think that's, Jon is like, oh, you're right. What about my sisters? I agree, Sam. Arya and Tyrion are people who haven't lied to him. You're absolutely right. They haven't. Tyrion didn't tell one lie. Nope, he didn't. Not in that speech. He does lie sometimes, but he doesn't lie to Jon. Lexi, I so wish we had a long reunion scene between Arya and Jon, the way we did with Sansa and Jon. Yeah, I wish that too, because Arya is my favorite character. But I understand why they didn't. I think up until this episode, last episode, I mean, this King's Landing scene, I think we were supposed to get the feeling that Arya was kind of like a shadow. Arya didn't want to have, you know, super close connections with anyone. She didn't want to hang out with anyone. When people ask where Arya is, kind of like, who knows? It's Arya. She's probably off killing someone. We don't know. She's out protecting us. Who knows? And that's kind of always how Arya's been. She's always kind of been, a little bit of the lone wolf in the pack. She's not very social. She does not like very many people. She has her, you know, group of people that she'll associate with, and that's about it. So I think that's what we're getting. And even then, she, really doesn't care for spending too much time with anyone. Fan, I'm surprised Arya didn't kill anyone post Night's King. We don't know that she didn't. She was on the road with the Hound. Hi, Aaron Water. Thank you for coming. Thank you all for coming. I mean, this was a last minute decision. I know I said it yesterday, but I didn't know what time I was going to go on, and I wasn't even 100% certain I was going to go on. I think I asked OTDA about it, if anyone else was going to be live, maybe like 3 or 4 hours ago. So, wait, Arya killed the people Gendry slept with? Fandom, no. No, she didn't. Why is Tyrion allowed visitors? Miss Witch, I think at this point, Dany's still trying to convince Jon, to be lovers or to love her, whatever it is. So she'll pretty much let him do whatever he wants. Even though I think she had a plan in place to test Jon's loyalty and Davos's loyalty and Tyrion's loyalty, Jon and Davos didn't really give her reason to question their loyalty, whereas Tyrion did. So I think at this point she still kind of trusts him, but she's still testing him. And, Grey Worm's still a little salty with them. Pike says, maybe it's not that Tyrion's allowed visitors, but at this point, the guards can't say no to Jon. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They can't say no to him because I think Dany will just overrule them. Even if Grey Worm said no, Dany would just say yes, and Grey Worm would be like, okay. So then, then we cut to the scene that made me bawl all of the tears in the world. We have Jon walks through a courtyard and Drogon lets him go through the door, which I think it shows that Drogon does not see Jon as a threat. He probably also senses his Valyrian blood, but he does not see Jon as a threat. He sees him as a friend, not a foe. I think the looks that he was giving him before were more of kind of sussing him out, like, okay, you smell like you're supposed to smell. I'm supposed to trust you, but I don't know. There's been so many people in Dany's life, and Dany's his mom for all intents and purposes. He's not a... Manera, what are you talking about? He's not a soldier. He's more of a seaman. I don't understand. Truth. You guys, Davos should have been part of the King's Guard with all the battles he survived. Oh, now I understand. Okay. He's not a soldier. He's more of a seaman. And he also is winning. He's also getting out of these battles by like the skin of his teeth. Battle of Winterfell, Arya was protecting him. I think, this time, I don't know what was protecting him, but he didn't die. That's about it. And then Plexi says, truth, he's as much of a veteran of war as Edmure is. Nope. Plexi, I think he's more of a veteran than Edmure is. At least Davos was in the thick of things for the most part. He was trying to do something. So don't equate my Davos to Edmure. Edmure is an idiot. Well, maybe that's too harsh. He's at least battlements and ship decks. Yeah, he's out on battlements and ship decks. And he can swing a sword, as we saw. Yes, Monero, thank you. I got that after. I had to read up a little bit. I think my comment, Davos always says he's not a fighter. Yes, I totally agree with Monero. He's not a fighter. But I think he fights when he has to. When it's his life or someone else's life, he's going to protect his own for, I think it's just fight or flight. I don't even think he does it intentionally. I don't know how he survived the Battle of the Blackwater, I assume. Me neither. I don't understand how he survived that either. Davos was never taken prisoner. I'm pretty sure they're afraid to take Davos prisoner. Last time, he's good. He can probably escape. Hi, Cameo. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the Jon and Dany scene. Then we see Jon and Dany. And, she's telling him, basically she's saying everyone has to die. We're going to start all over and we'll rule all these people. And, but there's no people because she plans on killing everyone. And she just told him that. She doesn't think anyone is good enough to stay alive because they all kind of served Cersei for whatever purpose. And I don't understand any of it. I don't know where she came from. Sorry, guys. With all of this, I did not see this crazy coming. This is like far crazy. Like she wants to kill everyone. I think they tried too hard to make her father. I don't think that's what she is. Again, I'm going to say it. I know everyone kind of disagrees with me. I don't think she's mad. I don't think she's crazy. I think she is, I wrote this down. Hold on. What did I say? Phone open up. So, what I wrote down is Dany's confused as to what is justice and what is tyrannical. She's become what she always tried to overthrow. She has no honest, unbiased advisors left that she'll listen to, a la Barristan and Jorah, and is running on pure emotion without realizing how wrong her actions are. She is seen as an illegitimate heir, much like Elizabeth I, who fought for the throne in contention with most of her subjects. So that's where I got that touches on my point of Sansa and Dany being Elizabeth and Mary. It's also, I didn't write it down, but I saw a meme earlier today where it explains all the players from the Stark family and who they were in the War of the Roses. They were definitely the Yorks. And in that, Sansa is definitely Queen Elizabeth in that sense. But for all intensive purposes, when you're just looking at them as Queen Mary, Queen of Scots, and Elizabeth I of England, Dany is playing the Elizabeth I role. She is coming in as an untested, not really wanted, because a lot of her subjects are not for her. I need to look up War of the Roses for a refresher. Yes, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. Right now I'm talking about Sansa versus Dany in Elizabeth versus Mary, Queen of Scots. Mary, Queen of Scots isn't really, I don't think she's a part of the War of the Roses. Elizabeth I is, though. I can't always think surrender or bend the knee as bad. Torrhen Stark was smart to do so. Yes, but I don't think Sansa would ever bend the knee, and I don't think anyone in the North would ever bend the knee again. We'll get there. Tammy will get there in just a minute. I need to look up that too, Sam. Yes, fandom. History is like in my brain. It's like, when people sing a song and you can't get it out of your head, it's like they call it an earworm. Anything in history is my earworm. If I hear something, I'll remember it and I'll have to look it up. It's really bad. It takes up a lot of my time. So then we get the Jon telling Dany he loves her, and they kiss and all of that. Hi, Joanna Hayden. They bent the knee for Sansa. No one bent Sansa's knee. Sorry, guys. I have this tickle in the back of my throat I can't get rid of. Um, so then that's when John stabs Danny. And I think it was really poetic, and it was really, it was private and it was personal. It wasn't, displayed for the public. Um, I think it was really, really good. It was better than what I thought. I thought so many things. I thought Danny would sacrifice herself. I thought Danny would kill herself. I thought Danny was going to get killed, but I didn't see her getting killed this way. And it just, I don't know. And then immediately we hear Drogon cry. And AK said it before, those dragons are super, super smart and intelligent, because that dragon sensed the minute she was losing her life. And I think the reason that everyone keeps asking, why didn't Drogon kill Jon and da 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 da? I think the reason that Drogon did not kill Jon was because again, he sensed his Valyrian blood. So he knows he's a friend and not a foe. Also, he could sense his feelings, his sorrow, and we know that Drogon has done this before with Dany. So it makes sense that he would pick up on Jon's feelings too, but he senses the sadness and the sorrow in Jon, and Jon is crying. Jon isn't, like laughing or, whatever. Jon is sad in this moment, and he's cradling Dany. And when Drogon comes, Jon, lets Drogon come, and Drogon nuzzles her and tries to get her to wake up, and that's when it really broke down. And then Drogon just starts wailing. And to me, that's his version of a cry. And he's wailing and wailing and wailing. And then he looks and sees the Iron Throne. And I think in a way he knew that that's what his mother was here for, why she'd come to this place. And so he burned it down. He burned down the throne, and he picked up her body and he flew away. And I think he was thinking, if we could get inside of Drogon's head, he was probably thinking, you guys don't deserve her. This was my mom. She saved me. She birthed me. She fed me. She made sure, she locked me up once and I ran away, but then I came back because I love her. And so I'm going to take her somewhere where she can be at peace. And I think that was what Drogon did. So if anyone has anything to say about that, I'm going to go into the chat and see what everyone is talking about. So Plexi said Henry VIII was the end of the War of the Roses. Yes. And then Mary Queen of Scots comes after. But Elizabeth I was a part of the War of the Roses because it was to determine who would succeed Henry VIII should his son die, because his son was not, necessarily the strongest of people, if I'm not mistaken. Could be mistaken. I may have to refresh my memory. Danny, I could be getting confused with the Mary Queen of Scots too. Danny just needs some anti-anxiety pills and 72-hour lockdown, perhaps some milk of the poppy. Yes, Miss Witch, she definitely does. She needs some anti-anxiety pills and maybe a Valium, and she needs to sleep and grieve, maybe eat something, have some wine, I don't know, just go and not kill anyone. It was a powerful scene, Monero says. Yes, it was probably the most powerful scene with so little speaking in the entire episode for me. Like I said, I bawled like a little baby. Plexi edit. I think Mary Queen of Scots was after the War of the Roses. She was the daughter of Henry VIII, and no. And I know I saw someone corrected Plex already in the chat. Mary Queen of Scots. No, No, Mary Queen of Scots wasn't. Mary Queen of Scots' mother was actually French. It was her father, whose mother was Henry VIII's aunt, I believe. Um, she was Henry VIII's aunt, I believe. So, yeah, no. Elizabeth I was her cousin. So they have a familial connection, but they were not sisters. That you're thinking of Mary, Queen Mary I, I believe, and that's not the Mary we're talking about. He smelled John's tears too. Yes, he did. And then, yeah, Monero, you're right. He had a daughter named Mary by Catherine of Aragon. Yes, Aragon is a Spanish kingdom at the time, and his wife was Spanish, and they followed the Catholic Church, and that's why he ended up breaking from the Catholic Church and creating the Church of England, because he wanted a divorce from his first wife so that he could marry Anne Boleyn, who he then beheaded. I felt at that moment that Drogon was more of a female. I don't know, Joanna. I just think, I don't even think it was male, female. I think it was a mother and a child. Plexi's, never mind, my Mary Queen of Scots is wrong. Hey, Nancy, welcome back. I saw you earlier. Came in since I started cutting. Yeah, Nancy was cutting the grass. I hope you were safe, Nancy. I'm still elated that my prediction was right. Drogon flying off with Dany's dead body. Cammy, if you predicted that, you're awesome, because I did not. So, yeah. No, I can't. I can't.
For 5 minutes. He's licking the floor until it's dry.
Sorry, guys. Family interruptions. Good night, peeps. Good night, my lady. Forresta, good night. Sorry if you're already gone. That was after the War of the Roses. The dead Khaleesi was moved. I almost shed a couple of tears. Drogon totally broke my heart. He broke my heart too. It ended with Henry VIII. No, Henry VIII. That's not the 8th. That's 7th. Married Edward the 4th's daughter and united the white and red roses. Yes, I believe you are correct. James the 5th was Mary Queen of Scots' dad. Was it James the 5th? I believe you're right. I know her son was named James as well. Mine too. Nancy, he did the most brilliant acting in the entire show, roasting the Iron Throne. Right, cousins. Drogon reminds me of my fur babies. I started The Spanish Princess on Stars. It's good, but severely inaccurate. Just entertainment, but the cast is beautiful and their accents are great. Dornish Wench, nice to see you. I haven't heard of that show. I'll have to look it up. Everything's inaccurate when it's on TV. I think The Crown is entertaining, but I don't think it's fully 100% accurate either. So, yeah. Eric, I always need to avoid English medieval monarchy. I can never keep the people straight until I get closer to World War I era. World War I era, that's like 2 generations back. I mean, the present queen is like, she fought in World War II, so like that's like her father and his brother, I believe, and her grandfather. Monero said, I think a lot of the period shows are inaccurate. Yes, you're absolutely right. They blend a lot of facts. Still have all my fingers and toes, but not done yet. Nancy, be careful, please. The actress who played Miranda on Thrones is Catherine of Aragon. I'll have to look into that. FYI, for those who felt that Dorne plot left to be desired, check out the new series about Catherine of Aragon. It's the Ariane story, but didn't get we didn't get on Game of Thrones. The actress played her on Game of Thrones, Miranda. Oh, Dornish went to beat me to the post. Ooh. Okay, I'll have to look into that, guys. Maybe I don't have stars, but maybe it's on Crave here. So wonderful. At least helps distinguish between all the Edwards and Henrys. Yep. I think the first thing that got me into like medieval themed shows, movies, whatever, was the other Boleyn girl. And then from there, it was like deep dive. Plexi, oh, right, Sam, are you in Canada? Yes, I'm in Canada. I am in the surrounding suburbs of Toronto. So, yes, I am definitely in Canada. I have to watch The White Queen because it connects to it. Oh, I have to watch that one too. I've been wanting to watch that. The White Princess is the first one with Elizabeth Woodsville. I don't like her. I love anything with monarchs because I like. Hi, Mara Jade. The White Queen was pretty good. You're only a few hours away from me, Sam. Where are you? Hours. Are you in Canada or are you in the States? Because I can probably get to Buffalo faster than I can get to certain parts of Canada. I think I can get to Buffalo in less time than I can get to Montreal, which is saying a lot. Sorry, guys. Again, I can't. Plexi White Queen was much better than Spanish Princess. Hollow Crown was good too. I'm a sucker for costume dramas, but love Sword and Sandals most of all. You're in Rochester, New York. Yeah, it takes me less time to get to you than it does to get to other parts of Canada. It's crazy. Yay, you're still on. I'm listening as I drive. Hey, Elamar. So we're just getting to the lovely Grand Council scene. So if anyone has anything to say about that, please let me know. Again, I'm going to take a drink because this cough is like killing me, and I hate coughing on air. Yeah, Dornish Wench, I just saw that today actually. Tinker from the Heights Watch, she does trailer reviews, and she actually posted a review of the Downton Abbey movie. I haven't seen it yet. I just saw the blurb about it. Monera's in Brooklyn, New York. Literally could have a New York party after the season. Could have had a New York party after the season ended. All the Game of Thrones fans in New York, you guys should have a meetup sometime. Fandom's in the Bronx. Dornish Wench says, Monera, I miss Brooklyn. I went to Sweat Tiva. I always question myself every time I say your name. Went to college in Buffalo and lived and worked there for years. Both of my kids were born there. Okay. Let's get back to this. So yeah, guys, any questions about that council? You guys already know how I feel about the Edmure scene. I laughed my butt off. And then the only thing that really pissed me off is who are all those unknown people? Fandom, I could imagine finding a bar, inviting Teflon TV, and everyone in the area would show up. It would be a Northeast Game of Thrones con. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone in New York probably put on their own damn con. There's so many of you guys, or people who don't live there anymore but are from there. Everyone. Um, we should Plexi. I will try and plan something, but we'll need an assist. Oh, Monero, if you guys are doing that, then I'm gonna have to like, I could probably drive down to see you guys. I think it takes me as long to drive to New York City as it does to drive to Montreal. So 8 hours. I can do that in nothing. I've done it before. Okay, guys, I'm getting really off topic. We're talking about a party in New York. Everyone was asking. Um, the one old guy to the far left, I can't figure out. There are so many that I can't figure out. Who is the guy sitting between Samuel and Edmure? Does anyone know? And also the guy sitting next to Gendry. No idea who he is. Why is he sitting there? And then I think there was two more, but I'm not sure. Edmure. What a waste of oxygen. Yes, Edmure is a waste of oxygen. He's terrible. Um, sorry, Dornish wench. No, I'm talking about the council to determine Bran as king. That was Howland Reed near Sam. No, that was definitely not Howland Reed because they were. Um, he was named as unnamed in the credits. It was unnamed Lord. Seriously, could have had Mira there with an old guy next to her, and boom, Howland Reed. Uh, nope, just some random no-name lords. Yes, fandom. They definitely were random. They never identified who the guys were. We need an Edmure to break up the seriousness. You're definitely right. We needed Edmure's scene, but it was so funny. But it was also stupid. It just shows how stupid Edmure is. I hate him as a character. Um, and then we get this scene that also made me kind of love Sansa a little bit. She's just like, Uncle, please sit. And she like looks at him, and if you look at my eyes, she did one of these. She was like with her eyes telling him to sit down. Um, love that Prince of Dorne looked like Russell Brand. I wasn't getting Russell Brand from him. I was getting if you've ever seen the drawings of the Princes of Dorne in, I think it is the World of Ice and Fire. I could be wrong. He looked very much like I pictured them from the drawings. Um, they could have had me there. It was so random. Yes, Dornish wench. They definitely could have had you there, and it probably would have made it better. I never need a Tully. She did scold. Sansa, that scene was epic for me. It made me happy. Um, just her like just telling her uncle, sit down. Fandom, I actually don't think Kat would have been proud of that. I think Kat would have been like, Santa, know your place. That's your uncle. Because that's kind of how Kat was, you know? Um, she didn't really encourage her daughters to speak up, even if they were in positions of power. She kind of told Sansa that in the first couple of episodes. So, I mean, I don't think that was really Kat. I think that was more her being around Littlefinger and her being around Cersei that made her react that way and feel like she could act that way. And also because everyone sitting there was kind of laughing before Sansa said that. Um, Sansa looked like who let out let him out of the dungeon. Yeah, pretty much. Sansa was just like, really, I have to deal with him. Ugh, like I don't want to deal with him. Like, can't we put him back in captivity so that he doesn't like mess anything else up? The Blackfish is the best Tully character. You're absolutely right. I love the Blackfish in the books. In the show, I don't think they gave him too much, and it kind of pissed me off. But he was setting the family back a few points. He definitely was. Also, did you guys all see the water bottles? Have you seen the memes of the water bottles that Davos and Sam had next to them? That's crazy. So we had what 2, 3 episodes, a Starbucks cup, and now we have water bottles. Like I understand it was probably hot, but like take the water bottles out of the scene, guys. I'm sure you guys have like a assistant or something. Um, but that was the same way she acted all season. To be honest, she treated Dany the same way when she first got to Winterfell. Um, no, I don't think Sansa ever outright told Dany like what to do. Whereas with Edmure, she feels like, no, I can tell you what to do because you're an idiot. Like she knows. So, um, Dornish wench, at least we know King's Landing has clean water now. Yes, yes, they do. And I found it fitting that that was Sam and Bran's discussion in that council afterwards. And then we have Sam bring up the idea of a democracy where everyone votes, and everyone kind of laughs him off. But then Tyrion brings up like basically a democratic monarchy, and they're all okay with it. Miss Witch says, Salty Sansa is entertaining. I don't think that was Salty Sansa. I think that was Sansa just like, no one wants to hear from you. Like, she was the only one that was going to say it. Real enemy was plastic all along. Yes, Dornish wench. It really was. Phantom says Qyburn created water bottles because of the global warming in King's Landing. Have you seen the one with the baby bottle next to Robin Aaron? No, I have not. That's not real. Poor Sam, he tried. He definitely did try. But then Tyrion basically he gives good reasons. And, and I found it stupid when Edmure was like, huh, I bet you want the crown. No, why the hell would he want the crown? Tyrion's never wanted the crown. Tyrion never wanted to be king. Tyrion never wanted to be hand. So I don't understand Edmure's comment. It was just stupid. But Edmure is stupid, so I mean, there's that. Then Tyrion says that half the realm hates him and for siding with Dany, and the other half hate him for betraying Dany, so he wouldn't make a good king and all these things. And then he goes into what unites us and war and gold and all these things. And then he says stories. And then he basically comes around, and it was my witty, intelligent, very well-spoken Tyrion again, which makes me happy. And he says, Bran. And then we get the kind of shitty scene where this is where Sansa's a little bit salty. Sansa's like, my brother doesn't want the throne, and if you haven't noticed, can't have children. And it's like, if I was Bran, I'd be like, bitch, shut up. Don't tell these people. So yeah, so then basically, then Tyrion turns around and looks at Sansa and he says, all the better, like, we don't need any more princes. You of all people should understand that. Princes are terrible and stupid and, whatever. He won't have any children to torture us. And it's awesome. I think that part, Sansa was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm down with that. And then I think little by little, Sansa starts to be okay with it in a sense, with Bran being king. Even though I don't think she wants any of her siblings to leave her. I don't think she wants any of them at all to, yes, sons of kings. Sorry, OTDA. I know I said princes, but he said sons of kings. Um, so I think that was good. And then everyone says I. And I felt like, and then Davos was kind of like, I don't think I get a vote, but I. And Brienne got a vote. And, the nameless, faceless lords got a vote. And I think Sam being there indicates to me, gave me the opinion that he is not just the new Archmaester, which I guess they have new rules. Bran can do that for the Maesters, that they can have wives and children. But I think he's also the Lord of Horn Hill. And that's where Gilly and the baby are, because Gilly is pregnant, guys. She said that in the episode before they left for King's Landing. She tells Jon that she's pregnant, she's having a baby. Then we get after this council where Brandon the Broken, first of his name, da 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 da. Then we get the scene where we see Jon in his cell and Tyrion is talking to him and he's explaining that, new group, the Nameless Lords. Yes, if I was a guy, I would definitely name my group that. Group of people that. But the Nameless Ladies makes no sense. So then we get all of Bran's new titles, and he's Bran the Broken. And I think that's a bit of a slap in the face, but okay. Everyone's good with it. And then Sansa turns around and she says, I love you, little brother, but the people of the North fought too hard to give up their independence now. And she's right. I think, in a sense, this scene, I'm totally okay with Sansa because she's saying what's right for her people. They don't want to kneel anymore. They just fought the White Walkers. Half of their houses are decimated. Um, you know, they don't have a Night's Watch anymore, and I'll get to that point afterwards. And, they're the biggest kingdom in the entire realm. I think they deserve their independence. So that's my opinion on it. And I think Bran is totally okay with that. And I think, again, if we paid attention and saw the map at the beginning, we would have known this was coming. So back to Jon and his cell. The episode should have had Stark or wolves in the title, not effing the Iron Throne. But the Iron Throne melted. I think that's an important thing. Hail, hail, monarchy is dead. Long live the King of Westeros and Queen in the North. Monarchy is not dead. It's just now a diplomatic monarchy or a constitutional monarchy. I don't know what they call it. I live in one and I don't even know what it's called. I'm in Canada. Technically, I have a queen, Queen Elizabeth. So I don't know. I think it's called a constitutional monarchy. I'm not sure. I vote. That's all I know. I don't vote for the queen, but I vote for a prime minister. So again, so then we have this scene of Jon and Tyrion's explaining that Jon is going to take the black and he's going to take no wives and father no children and da 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 da, on, hold no titles. And Jon seemed a little bit like down and whatever. I don't think in this moment he realizes it. But I also think this is a setup. Jon taking the black again is a total 100% setup. Because if you look at it, they've said it in past episodes, there are no more Night's Watchmen. I think there's probably men who were in the Night's Watch, but they're free now. So there's no more Night's Watch. There's no more Wall. There's, Castle Black was given to the free folk, and I'm pretty sure all of the Night's Watchmen have either died or, settled somewhere else. Or they died at the wall protecting people from the from the Night's King. Sorry, I'm thinking. So I'm thinking of how to say this. Creepy Bren is the one who learned from the best, manipulating everyone, ending up with all the power. Knew he was pulling strings. I didn't know that. Monero, there isn't a Night's Watch. No, there isn't, guys. It's been said. I think it was said either this season or maybe the end of last season. I can't remember. Where they basically dissolved the Night's Watch into just men who were willing to fight. And protect the realm. I think the Night's Watch thing was more to satisfy Grey Worm, because Grey Worm was never going to leave without John's head. So the guys, I think I said this yesterday in the Mad Queen stream, the guys that came to escort John, if you look closely, are the same guys that were behind John and Davos in the scene where they're walking the streets of King's Landing. They're the Northman soldiers who were with John and Davos there. And now they're just in black clothing, which I'm pretty sure Sansa probably brought and gave to them and said, here, put this on. And so, yeah, he's going to... And I think Tyrion knows too, because Tyrion's not stupid. I think everyone knows that there's no more Night's Watch. But John seems a little like shocked, whatever. And I think it's not until he sees the men where he's kind of like, okay, let's go. And then it's the scene with John and Sansa and Arya and Bran on the pier. And this is a callback to, I believe it's the Littlefinger Sansa scene. Yeah, Littlefinger and Sansa in King's Landing, where they're speaking on the pier. Or was it Ross? No, Tyrion's girlfriend girl. She was speaking to someone. I can't remember. So John goes and he sees his siblings, and he's speaking to Sansa, and Sansa says, "Can you ever forgive me?" And John basically says yes, and then she's talking about how people of the North wanted the King of the North, not her, and then he says, "I couldn't think of anyone better than Ned Stark's daughter to speak on their behalf." He also tells her that she freed them. They're independent and, going on. Then he turns to Arya and she says, "I'm not going back to Winterfell." And he says, everyone's like, "Where are you going?" And Arya explains that she's going to go west of Westeros. I think there were men at Castle Black before and after John left, because someone closed the gate when they went through the wall. Yes, there's definitely people living there. I think there's probably, because the Free Folk took over Castle Black. So I think maybe some people wanted to stay and some people left. And obviously John and Tormund are the type that, whatever the people want, they can do. John's not going to make people do anything. So looking back, Sophie's tattoo of "The Pack Survives" was a spoiler AF she showed before the season even started. Yeah, they said that. I can't remember where I was reading that basically her tattoo was a spoiler. So Arya says, "I'm gonna find out what's west of Westeros," and and then John asks, "Do you have your needle?" And she says, "Right here." And then she starts crying, which I also started crying for. And they hug. And then he turns to Bronn and to Bran, sorry, Bronn. See, I have Bronn on the brain because I'm so mad about Bronn. So he turns to Bran and, he says all the right things, your grace and whatever. And then he says, I'm sorry. I wasn't there when you needed me. And Bran turns to him and says, you were right where you needed to be. Bran obviously sees into the past and the future and whatever. And, that was Jon's journey. That was Jon truly felt at home when he felt validated when he was at the wall, and he felt truly at home once he was with the free folk. So I think this is where Jon always belonged. So then we get the small council stupidity and Brienne writing in the book, and Brienne didn't lie in anything she wrote. Jaime did do all those things. Jaime was also an asshole and an idiot, and I liked that she wrote he died saving his queen, not the queen or, Queen Cersei. She wrote his queen. I think that was a bit of a slap to him. I'm going to go and read some of these. Sansa could have had Northern soldiers at the wall too. No, I don't think there was any Northern soldiers at the wall, Monero. I think she let everyone, I don't think she kind of just let everyone, go and settle where they wanted to settle. I knew it was a story about the Starks, and that's probably why George may have changed the book title, Time for Wolves to a Dream of Spring. It is in the north. It's too late now. What? Yeah, that was sad. I was sad soon as Jon saw them all. I knew right then it would be the last time they would all saw each other. The wall isn't completely destroyed, but the Night's Watch exists only in name now. Good point, Dornish Wench. I'm going to have to scroll back and find out what your point was, Dornish Wench. I would settle at Castle Black after all that happened to the north. It wasn't touched by Night's King. True. I think it's pretty much still standing. The wolf pack splintered. I don't think they splintered. They all went and did what they said they wanted to do in the first season. So Arya said she wanted to explore, and Arya said at some point she wanted to know what was west of Westeros, and Sansa said she wanted to be queen. Sansa is queen. She's queen in the north, but she's still queen. Bran wanted to go to King's Landing and be a knight of the Kingsguard. And Jon was always set on going to the wall. I think, that was always his plan. Even if he didn't have to, that was what he wanted to do. So I think they all kind of just followed their path that they wanted to at the beginning. Clexi says the book series is always confusing because the story uses the Starks as a lens, but so many of the histories are about the Targaryens. In the end, it may be the story of Bran. Maybe. I find that the books are not, they're obviously Stark focused to a point, but I think we focus on the Lannisters too, and Dany has a lot of chapters, so I don't see it as solely Stark based. Did they clear Sansa and Tyrion's names as Joffrey's killer? No, I don't see why they would have to. Who's going to arrest them? The Stark's farewell party was sad. Get my niece ready for bed. Oh, Monero, okay, tell the tiny human I say goodnight. Good night, Monero. It starts with Bran, it ends with Bran. It actually didn't. Did it start with Bran? I think the show and the book, we both started with, was it Arya? I don't remember now. I know in the show we started with Arya, if I'm not mistaken. It's from Arya's perspective that we see everything at the beginning. We're focused on Arya, so I don't know. Great, great discussion. See you next chat. Anytime now. I actually wish there was less Targaryen stuff and more Northern lore. I think we'll get more Northern lore, Dornish Wench. I think we just have to be patient. Um, unless everyone else is a red herring. Reason why I want to see the prequels. Bran's the first chapter in the books? I'm probably wrong because I haven't read the books in a really long time. I'm thinking of doing a reread, but I've just been focused on the show. So, yes, you're absolutely right. Sorry, fandom. Yes, you're right. We started north of the wall. We started with the Night's Watchmen north of the wall and the White Walkers. That's how we started the show, and that's how we started the book as well. So yeah. So then we get that small council scene from hell where the hell did Bronn come from? And why is he the Lord of the Reach? Who in their right mind would make Bronn Lord of the Reach? Someone should have killed him. How did he survive Dany? How did he survive any of it? I don't understand. We got to see Brienne's new armor, which I thought was fitting. Brienne's new sigil is a raven, which I think is, his sigil is probably still a direwolf, but his personal sigil is a raven, three-eyed raven, which I think was pretty awesome. And we have Bronn is master of coin. We have Tyrion as hand. We have Davos as master of ships. We have Sam as the Archmaester and Brienne as head of the Kingsguard. So she's Lord, Lady, Commander. She's AK. so we have that, and I think it was a little bit more comedic relief. I understand Bronn was supposed to be funny, but I just don't understand Bronn. I'm over Bronn. I think he's stupid. I wish he would have died. I don't wish death on a lot of characters, but I really dislike him. And it's not because of his actor, and it's not the show. It's in the books too. I can't pinpoint him. So, yeah. And then after that, Bran asks where Drogon is, and he's thinking about he's gonna go look for him. So he leaves Tyrion to figure out the rest of the council. I found that interesting because I don't know why they're wondering where Drogon is. Well, I mean, I kind of do. You probably should keep tabs on a dangerous dragon who has a pungent for burning down cities. Who just flew off and is probably very upset. So yeah, you probably should keep track of him and figure out where he is, but I don't understand why they put that in the last scene there. So then we have Arya on her ship. No, fandom, I don't think Davos is alive for fan service. I think Davos is alive. Elamar says, Sam, at least we can be sure people will pay their debts. They should be scared shitless of him. I guess. I'm not scared of him. I would laugh at him because, he's Bronn. He's stupid. Davos at least has a purpose. Yes, Davos has a purpose. Bronn was fan service. Davos has a purpose. He's just gonna go roam, not being bothered by anything. He knows how to stay out of trouble. He's smart AF, Drogon. Yes, Drogon is smart. So hopefully he stays away and they don't kill him. So the Citadel is just cool with Sam being Archmaester and having a family too. Okay, cool. Catherine, I said it before. I'm pretty sure, Bran is king. He can make new rules. And I think, these are his rules. He's saying, no, I'm having Sam as my, Archmaester, and he's also the Lord of Horn Hill, and he is also a father and a husband. OTDA is fighting with me. Braun is a badass. He one-on-one most people. Elamar is right about that. Okay, I just don't like him. So it's just my own personal feelings towards Braun. I just genuinely dislike him. Um, so yeah, so like I was saying, I think Sam just Bran changed the rules so that Sam could be the Archmaester and also all of these things. And I think Davos says I think Davos says in this episode, "Oh, you with all of your titles to Braun," and it's like everyone's got titles now. Everyone's something or two somethings or three somethings. Um, yes, I do hate him. So then we get Sansa's coronation in the north after we see Arya on her amazing ship. I think I talked about Arya on her ship. If not, let's talk about Arya on her ship. Where the hell did she get this ship? I didn't know the North had ships. And that ship was gorgeous. Did you see that Stark direwolf on the top, on the front of it? And also the sigils flying high above. It was just like, oh, so pretty. I want that boat. And then after we get after we get Arya, we get Sansa. Hi, sweet YFT. Oh, it's okay. You can come in as late as you want. I'm just glad you're here. Um, so then we get Sansa's coronation, and I mean, I don't necessarily like Sansa, but I really like what the Starks as a whole have done. I think Sansa, I said it yesterday, the Stark children, Arya, Sansa, and Bran, are literally almost related to everyone in the kingdom, or someone owes them something. So um, they're I think what I read was that Sansa is probably the most powerful person in Westeros because Bran is her brother, Jon is her quote unquote brother. Um, she's the niece of the Lord of the Riverlands and the cousin of the Lord of the Ear, and she's queen in the North. She has more power than pretty much anyone else. And I think that's why Bran, probably everyone's okay with Bran sitting there on throne, is the same as why they're okay with Sansa having her independence in the North, because they know the North has never really followed um, anything from the South. They don't even have the same religion. And so, hi, John, formerly known as AU. Nice to see you. So Sansa's crowning and her coronation was, it was important to see, and I think it was fitting that everyone is saying Queen in the North. And then we get to Castle Black, and we get the amazing scene with Jon and Ghost, and they're finally reunited, and they're together, and Jon isn't stupid anymore, and he's not leaving Ghost for a dragon, and and so he's with Ghost, and it makes me happy, and I love it. And then we have the scene where Jon goes in, and then I think there's a bit of a time jump, and then he sees Tormund, and then we have Jon and Tormund going north of the wall. And it's not just Jon and Tormund, it's Jon and Tormund and a whole bunch of people, free folks. And I think what I was trying to say before was I think that Jon is going beyond the wall to be, the leader of the free folk, because Tormund said it in the episode where they were celebrating the Night King's death. That was a tongue twister. That the free folk are calling him king in the north too. So he's their king for all intents and purposes. And I think Sansa and Arya and Bran set it up perfectly. And Tyrion, because Tyrion knows too. And probably Royce knew as well. He was there for the battle. I don't know Brienne probably knows too. I don't know why Grey Worm wouldn't figure it out, but there is no more Night's Watch. Those people are there of their own free will. Tormund says he's taking the free folk to Castle Black to settle there. And so, because it's the closest to the wall, it's closest to their home. And so when Jon goes there, we get them going out the other side. And I think now Jon is king of the true North, north of the wall, the free folk. And I think, it's a call to the Mance Rayder in the books that we have, who is king of the wildlings, king of the free folk, whatever you want to call them. And we also get a little green plant growing, if any of you guys missed it. That little green plant is kind of, a dream of spring. Maybe spring is finally coming and winter is finally going to end. Hey, AK. Oh my God, there's so many people in here now, guys. Hi, everyone. So now that I'm done kind of giving my thoughts on the episode, do you guys have anything you guys want to talk about? So Sweet YFT says, I mean, it's possible, but I don't see why she'd be part of that conversation. Bran, because of Brienne. Yeah. No, I don't think it was a conversation. I think it was just a known fact that there was no more Night's Watch. I think it was just like after the fight, I think, and Brienne was in the North for a significant amount of time. I think she knew that there was not very many Night's Watchmen left. And so, and she also spent a lot of time with Tormund. So, yeah. So, that's why. So I just want to, let's see what everyone's saying. How long you think it'll take Grey Worm and the Unsullied to be killed in Noth? AK, I hope that maybe I get it. Grey Worm was sailing back to Noth because that's what he promised Missandei, and it's romantic and it's beautiful, and we can all hope that he doesn't get killed and maybe he's, lives happy for once and he's not so salty and upset and, gets over his grief. But the reality is, those butterflies are going to eat him alive. So, God, I hope he's just bringing back Missandei's bones and getting the hell out of there, because those Unsullied are going to die unless maybe they were from Noth. And, Sweet YFT says, my thoughts, I cannot get over Bran being bad in the end, my sweet baby boy. I don't think he was bad. I think he just knew what needed to happen. I don't think he was pulling strings or anything like that, but I think he knew what had to happen in order for everyone to be free. So I don't look at it as him being bad like some people do. I look at it as, he knew what had to happen in order for all these people to be free and for there to be no more wars for the throne, because now there's no throne. So that's how I feel about it. I don't think he was pulling strings. I think he was actually just, he saw what needed to be done in order to free the people. That's it. Not bad. He could have went a different way to get to where he wanted to go. He's not our sweet summer child anymore. AK, he hasn't been our sweet summer child in a really long time. I don't think he's evil though. I didn't ever consider him evil. I also don't consider Bloodraven evil. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know about the Children of the Forest, but I think it's all, the same thing I've said before in other streams. It's more of these people don't know how to get along. They don't know how to communicate. So it's the same with the First Men Andals. and the children in the forest. Nobody knew how to get along. So, yeah. So that's the way that I look at it. I don't consider any of them. I don't consider any character in the show to be 100% good or 100% bad. I feel like everyone is gray. So even the Night King, even Cersei, even the Mountain to a certain extent, he's a little bit like he's probably the most evil person, but even him being evil was a little bit gray. Sweet Wife T, in my eyes, he's as responsible for the innocent deaths in King's Landing as Danny. Ah, now, here's the thing, Sweet Wife T. The way that I see it is if Danny hadn't done what she had done, then we could have the alternative of the Night's King. And if, no, even John AU, formerly known as AU, I think he's also gray. I think he was, probably tortured as a child or something. I can't remember if it's book or show or if it's just a theory that I read where his mother was pretty evil to him because he was a product of rape. So I think, he was probably tortured a little bit too. He killed his sister when they were kids. Yes, no. I'm just saying I think there's more to the Mountain story than we know. I think maybe he has some sort of, problem. There is no evidence of torture for Ramsay as a kid. AK. No, I think it's probably a theory that I heard. Like I said, I can't remember where I heard it. I just remember hearing that his mother didn't like him very much because he was a product of rape. Um, I don't have Ramsay love. I literally laughed when he died. It was probably my favorite scene ever. And I think it was amazing the way he died. Oh God, someone get Timo in here for Sam's Ramsay love. No Ramsay love. Ramsay was so out of control that his mom had to take him to roost because he was too much for her to handle. Okay. So again, like I said, I probably heard it somewhere. I watch a lot of YouTube theory videos and I listen to a lot of podcasts where people give a lot of their different opinions. So I never know where something's coming from, if it's actual canon or if it's just someone's thoughts. So yeah, I probably made that up in my head actually. Um, and the Mountain, I mean, I don't know enough about his backstory, but yes, they killed people and they're wrong, but I think they're gray because in their minds they think they're right. Um, so there's that. I think to me, pure evil is like pure evil is like there's you're just like you don't think you're right, you're wrong and you're doing wrong anyways. You don't care. Um so that's pure evil for me. Bran looked at Dany and saw what she was about. He used Sansa, Jon, Theon, Arya, Jaime, Sam. He was the true player. If you see it that way, I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, like I said, this is all up to interpretation. We don't know. We weren't given anything. So, um, Reek version 1. Yes. So, that's another thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that so many characters were left out of the show that I feel like I think I've talked about this before. I feel like they kind of missed the mark because they were trying too hard to put in storylines that didn't fit those characters, personalities. I think Ariane Martell. We totally, her story was in the books. It's incredible. And in the show, we don't even get her. And we get like three of Oberyn's daughters, and they were bad versions of Oberyn's daughters. They weren't even the good versions. Um, so, I think that was really important. And I think, that's why the Dorne storyline kind of got messed up because Ilaria was playing her part and there was no Ilaria part because Ilaria is very much in mourning in the books. She's not the person we get on the show. Um, so I think that's important. And also, there's other characters that we totally do not have where we have characters that are trying to fill in their spaces because they're major players, but they're not there. So, Gendry is not the last of Robert Baratheon's bastards. Robert has 4 living bastards. Um, there is Maya Stone, who's in the Eyrie. We have Gendry Waters. We have Edric Storm and Bella. What's Bella? I can't remember what Bella's the baby. Um, Sorry, I'm going to go into the chats here. The mountain raped a child in front of her father. The made man pay him for it, and he did it as a joke to his men. There's no gray area for that. I don't remember that, AK. So thank you for reminding me. If that's the case, then yeah, okay, maybe he's a little bit more evil than I thought. Ramsay was a formidable villain, but Joffrey was still my favorite baddie. Yeah, they're both pretty bad. But again, I think George writes, incredible characters. So for me, I don't want to say I see the good in all the characters, but I see where they're coming from on the real. If they wanted to toss in a random Dornish person, they should have given us Arianne, Princess of Dorne, at the end. Yes, they should have. Oh my God, I would have been so happy even at just the mention of her name. We didn't really get any of Doran's children, except for his son that was marrying Marcella. That was it. I'm back from my friend's mom wanted me to edit a photo for her. My mom would take away the wrinkles. Joffrey was everything you don't want your child to be. That's absolutely right. If I had a child, AK, and the little baby Bella wasn't recognized, so she has no last name except for her mom's. But she was a bastard of King's Landing, I believe. So maybe she would be Waters as well, like or no last name at all. She wasn't recognized. Yeah, you're right. But I think Ned knew, so I guess she would be called Waters. I don't know. Danny killed millions. I think I would rather have a sadistic Joffrey child than a mass murderer. No, because Joffrey had no remorse or emotions or anything. He didn't understand feelings. Um, Whereas Danny, I think, fed into her feelings too much. I'd rather have somebody with too much feelings than someone with no feelings at all. Because someone with too many feelings can also be empathetic and can also understand empathy. Someone with no feelings will never understand empathy. AK Plexi, Alicia Kingston, were there any good fan theories for Bastards of Robert at the Wall? Okay, Catherine, okay, maybe not millions, but a lot. More than Night's King. I don't see Night's King as a villain. Sweet YFT. How is Gendry still recognized as Lord of Storms and after Dany's death? Because Sweet YFT, because I don't think after everything that he's gone through with Arya, I don't think Arya would let them take away his title. So, I mean, she's not going to let her brother take it away. Joffrey had Tywin around to keep him in check and no dragons. Imagine if he had been in Dany's position. Yeah, Joffrey would have burned the city like the second someone said no to him. Never mind the fact that they killed his best friend and his children. Because that's how Dany sees the dragons. They're her children. So they killed one of her children and they killed Missandei, who's her best friend. So she's in grief. She lost two people very close to her. That's why she lost her mind. AK, because everyone in charge now likes Gendry's PYFT. I think Bran would have named him Lord as well. Yeah, that's the same thing I said. Oh, that's a scary thought. Yes, Plexi, that is a scary thought. Joffrey with dragons. Joffrey is still worse. Makes sense. I think they should have let more than a few weeks pass before the council, though. Sweet Wife T, you just hit the nail on the head right there. I think they rushed things. I think that's my only gripe about the entire season, was that everything seemed rushed and nothing was fully explained. I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, HBO probably would have given them as many episodes as they wanted. They chose 6, and they rushed it. They just rushed the whole entire thing. Bye, Nancy. Thank you for coming by. Have a great day, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Have a wonderful time. Phantom says Joffrey would have burned the city looking for the dude who threw cow poop at him. Phantom, I think Joffrey would have burned the city for far less than that. He would have burned the city for, like, I don't know, like someone saying no to him. HBO offered them 10 episodes. See? Okay, thank you. HBO offered them 10 episodes. They took 6. They could have given us 10 and the story would have been less rushed and we would have been able to get into the characters' heads and understood where they were coming from. Instead, what we got was rushed. There was no explanation. There was no feeling. It was just go, 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 end. We could have had like a nice build up to all of these things. And then, like, you know, even if it went exactly the same way, we could have had the fight for the North and we could have had time. We could have taken more time after that for them to explain their strategy and seen, you know, what everyone was thinking. And then we could have had more along the lines of what Cersei was even thinking. Where did those ships come from? I mean, where did they get the idea for the scorpions to be on the ships? How did they build them? Sorry guys, we have no sense of time in the show. It's like everyone's got a little finger travel service with them in their back pocket and they're just bouncing from place to place. OTD says, I thought what we got was perfect. I think the story was perfect. Now that I've seen it a few times, I think the storyline, fine. It's perfect for the show. I'm not nitpicking the story. I'm nitpicking the fact that they could have given us more well laid out episodes. And instead, they gave us this rushed season. I would have loved well laid out episodes, but we didn't get them. I'm still okay with what we got. With OTD says, with more episodes comes more people nitpicking at whatever. You're right. You're absolutely right. But I think if they had have told us why people were doing the things they were doing, I think there would have been less divisiveness. D&D just wanted to do the Red Wedding. They should have came to an agreement with someone else who could have picked up the series if they didn't want to continue fandom. You're right. Miss Witch said D&D pacing was too rushed. Episode 1 and 2 could have been combined. I needed more time of the Night's King. Yes, I would have loved more time with the Army of the Undead. AK says, not just scorpions, rapid fire scorpions that miraculously didn't shoot rapid fire during the last battle. Yes, they made improvements. But we didn't know they made improvements. How are we supposed to know that? No one said it. because we have to either see it or hear it. We're not in their heads like we are in the books. So yeah, so those are, my gripes. You see, I'm like trying to, you see, I'm trying to pronounce your name again. Swantiva Major says 3 times as many scorpions on the ships as there were on the city walls, shaking my head. You're right, but they were trying to take down the dragons. So, AK says, shortest long night ever. Yeah, was it even a night? Like, I swear the White Walkers were gone, like, what felt like an hour into dark. Like, then, like, everyone just went to bed, slept. That's the way that I felt it went. Felt like, oh, okay, it's done. Time to go to sleep now. Like, Arya killed him. We're good now. We can all go back to bed. It just felt like they worked the night shift. They went home. So yeah, so that's my feelings on it. Let's see. Do I have anything else I want to talk about? If you guys have anything else you want my opinion on, or if you guys have anything else you want to talk about, let me know in the chat. If not, then we'll wrap it up. But I want to wait and see if anyone has anything they want to say in the chat. Anyone? No? Okay. All right. So let's see. So this was unplanned, so I may, I'm not making any T. Robinson, what happened to the children of the forest? I don't know. That's a good question. I would have loved to see what happened to them as well. Plexi said, imagine if Nutter and Cogman got to take over the show for the last few seasons, right? Oh, you're welcome, Plexi. The episode should have been called the Battle for the Dawn and have it end at sunrise, right? Because yeah, Children of the Forest dead. Are they dead, AK? Did we get that? I wasn't sure if we did or we didn't. I don't think anymore on the show. Okay. So guys, so I'm going to start wrapping this one up if we don't get any more questions. So as far as streaming goes, I think maybe I'll probably, so next week, next Sunday, there's definitely I think it's like a behind the episode. It's a full length episode of behind the scenes things that they've done. And it's running at the same time as Game of Thrones normally would. And also, my TV says there's an episode coming on afterwards. And also, that episode I've heard from in other places that episode there is bonus scenes or something like that. So I'm not sure. So AK, yeah, I saw that. I'm still contemplating streaming for it. Let me know if you're streaming for that. I definitely would love to watch that with you. If AK is streaming, then you'll definitely be able to find me in her chats because that is where I will definitely be. I've watched every episode this season and last season with AK's live reactions in the background. Mara Jade says, so many unanswered questions. Thank you for answering some of them. Well, they're not answers, they're just my opinions, but you're very welcome, Mara. So yeah, so definitely let me know, AK. I will definitely watch that on your channel. And I'd love to know, like, if anyone else has heard what this post that episode is, because I've heard conflicting things. I've heard maybe it's just bonus material. I've heard it's a bonus episode. I don't know. There's no description at all on the thing. It just says the description of the series of A Game of Thrones. So gotta find a new show. we can live watch. Yes, AK, we definitely do. So after that, I'm definitely going to OTDA. Oh, Mackenzie's about to go live. Okay, so I'll wrap this up. It's a documentary of the making stream. I'll just restart the, I know it was good. Oh, thank you, T. Robinson. Yeah, I'll be on Mackenzie's if anyone wants to jump over. I'm definitely going to wrap this up and jump over there and listen to her. So what I was going to say was I'm thinking of maybe doing a reread. I may do videos for it. Not sure if I will or if I won't. It's not a set plan as of yet. I'm still thinking about it. Like I've said on other streams, I am dyslexic. So for me, reading the books is a little bit tiresome, and sometimes I have to listen to them instead. So listening to them doesn't give me the same depth as reading them does, but I will try. And cheers, Sam. Love your live chats. Okay, bye, David. Thank you for shouting me out. So I might do that. I'm not sure. Other than that, you'll find me. I'll be in live stream chat rooms all over the place. Anytime anyone does anything, I will know because the lovely OTDA David will let me know and he will inform me. And then, I'm still down to talk about the books and theories. If anyone invites me on, maybe I'll pop on to other people's channels. Maybe I'll do some of my own theory crafting. I'm not sure yet. Plexi says, interested to listen to a medieval history book that goes into detail about a lot of the parallels of the story. It's called A Distant Mirror. I'll have to check that out. Plexi, thank you. It would be fun to stream chat topic. If I get into it, it takes me a lot to get into a book. So if I get into it, yes, I will definitely stream chat about it just for you, Plexi, because I love you. AK says, they were more, I'm glad you and everyone were enjoying them. Super fun. AK, your live reaction streams were literally my life. Like I lived for them. I haven't made it to many live streams. If you guys notice, there's very select few that I will appear in the live chats. Other ones I'll watch later because there's just way too many of them this season. But I never miss Mad Queens. I never miss Teflon. I never miss anything AK does. And Hypes Watch as well. The only one I missed of the Hypes Watch was the last one because my family was doing fireworks and they wouldn't stop. And my internet connection was shitty where I was. So I missed it. I had to watch it later. But guys, I'm going to sign off now. Leave any comments, any questions in the comment section. Maybe I'll do another little rebuttal. Thank you for everyone. I'm just going to AK, Alicia Kingston, Plexi Brand, OTTA, Mara Jade Skywalker, Swativa Major, Fandom D Saint, T Robinson, scroll, Dornish Wench, Living My Rhapsody, Miss Witch, Sweet YFT. Who else was in here? I know there was more people. AU, John, formerly known as AU, Aaron Water. Who else did I see? Sweet YFT, Catherine Harding, the lovely Nancy T. Anyone else? Checking. Sorry, guys. I'm scrolling back to see who else was in here. I think I got everyone, but I'm not 100% certain. Just want to make sure I don't forget anyone. And that's as far as I can go. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for showing me love. Monero was here. Yes, you're right, Plexi. Thank you for reminding me. I love you all. You will definitely see me. So hugs, kisses, love you all. Go watch Mackenzie and have a great evening. And don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked my stream. Thanks. Bye, guys.